And again, we're on the line with Terrence Oglesby, former Clemson basketball player. And we kind of jumped into the first question, but the reason why I kind of noticed that you wanted to bring you on the show rather is that I noticed that you were doing a lot of analysis or post-game and pre-game analysis for the Clemson basketball team for the past couple of games over on social media. And I wanted to ask you, what got you to start doing that this year? Have you been doing that since the start of the season, or is this something you just kind of started doing? And what made you want to start doing that?
No, it's kind of weird. Give you a little background. I now have 2 degrees from Clemson University. I got my master's of science in athletic leadership from Clemson after I graduated in undergrad, and I left to go to Carson Newman, and my father passed away in August. And for those who don't know, my father, he was a businessman, so there's a lot of loose ends that are needing to be tied up, and I didn't have the chance to do both effectively. So I kind of had to step away and do some other things. And now all that stuff is starting to settle down. And I came to the Wake Forest game, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see about it, because I did some radio with Don Munson on 105.5 for the games, and then I did a couple of different things, and I really enjoyed it. But I also, what I've come to figure out since I have been away from coaching is I really enjoy my kids, and I don't mind 17 and 18 hour days. I just would prefer not to have 6 and 7 of them in a row. And basketball coaching at the highest level, it demands that sort of time. And I really enjoy the game of basketball. I know the game of basketball really well, not only as a player, but to be a graduate assistant for Brad Brownell is pretty demanding. And I was able to pick up a lot of knowledge and a lot of different ways to see the game of basketball through him. So to be able to use the stuff that I learned, but yet not necessarily have to live and die by every make or miss, has been because I'm so competitive, as I'm sure you know. I just it would ruin my next 3 days if we lost the game, and it began to affect my family, especially after the passing of my father. So I want to be around it. I don't want to live and die by it. I want to be able to pick up my kids from school on occasion, and it's just one of those things where it makes most sense of all just to do it. And then after the Wake Forest game, I was like, well, I'll just see what happens. So I did it, and I got a lot of really good responses from it. And next thing I know, I do one more game, and TigerNet calls me, and they asked me to do that. And so I'm going to actually do the rest of the season, do pregame and postgame analysis for TigerNet. And then meanwhile, I actually recorded my first podcast today. I'm going to really get into that side of the things because I really enjoy ACC basketball and talking about it. And really, I want to teach basketball, but the day-to-day grind and all that stuff, it puts it in a different perspective. So this is kind of a different way to teach basketball and a different way for people to understand it, and not just hold your follow-through, but kind of the complexities of what are going on. And that's really what I enjoy more than anything.
That's awesome. Again, was
that enough? Was that enough of an answer for you?
Yeah, I mean,
I tend to get along with it.
No, we appreciate it, and you have such great information. I mean, you're so connected to the sport and to coaching and like that lifestyle and understanding it and playing it. Not only that, you played at a high level in college and then played over in Europe. So you have a lot of experiences that I think a lot of the analysts don't have. And, if you need any help with YouTube, Facebook, whatever, podcast, I'll be more than happy. Al and I will be more than happy to give you some pointers or whatever you need. We'll help you out for sure because that's what Clemson graduates, Clemson fans do. We help each other as Clemson family. And again, about family, our thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family. I know that's tough to have to deal with that, but glad that you seem to be kind of working towards getting everything in order, and like I said, just continuing to pursue your passion, but maybe also be able to balance some things too. That's why I wasn't a professional in anything, because the time it takes. I couldn't do it. But a lot of people, I'm just joking, but a lot of people look up to Dabo Swinney, but it's very uncommon to have a coach put so much emphasis on family in a like you said, in a position where, I mean, I've said it plenty of times to my wife, like I can't believe how much emphasis is on family in a position where you're not at home very often, and especially.
No doubt. No.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about.
No.
We're talking about.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm screwing everything up.
No, you're fine. We're talking about recruiting, and it's just a few weeks after the national championship game. We're talking about he had a big recruiting weekend. We're going to do that in segment number 2. And I mean, really, where is the time away? And I'm sure college basketball is the same for you.
Oh, no question. And the thing is, too, is Brad Brownell was very good about that as well, but he also had deadlines for certain things. So when you're a grad student like I was basically taking a full load plus half. I was taking 9 hours when I should have been taking 6 of grad school courses. Plus, I have 2 kids and a wife at home. Plus, I'm helping Antonio Reynolds Dean, one of the assistants, prepare the full scout, and all the written version and stuff I would bring to him, and he would basically tinker with 1 or 2 things. So I was responsible for a lot of that stuff, and it just bogs you down. Now, Coach Brownell is great about, guys, go be with your families, take the day off, enjoy the week. Especially during the off season, he's good about that stuff. I mean, he's about as normal a human, and there are some psychos coaching, but he is about as normal a human who's very considerate for his staff and all that stuff as you're going to get. So, Dabo, he's done a tremendous job of emphasizing family. It's so nice to see him and having his kids with him. Last time I saw Dabo before this season, I actually saw him when I was in vacation, but that's a whole nother story. And we actually went and played pickup and did that whole thing. We all met each other down in the Bahamas, but that was a funny story in itself. But man, I'm so happy that Clemson has that atmosphere about it. And people say there's something in those hills, and there really is. It's just such a welcoming place. And a lot of people really, if you think about it, could have been bitter towards me after leaving 2 years. I mean, you think about that. But I came back to try to graduate. They had this Tiger Trust program set up. They pay for all my schooling, all my undergrad. I get the GA position. They pay for 3/5 of my master's program. So for somebody who kind of I'm not going to say the word bailed, because I mean the aspiration of every athlete is to become a professional at that level. But somebody who leaves early and they just welcome me like I never left. And there's just something about that place that's welcoming and inviting back and forgiving almost.